Good morning and a very warm welcome once again to our distinguished speakers, Dr. Maitri and Piyush Bajpai. Thank you so much for having us, having us here today in this wonderful webinar. It's a very exciting topic for our B School students and all the other stakeholders. And we are extremely looking forward to your insights today. Before we start, I would like Neha Kapoor to start the welcome note for this webinar. Neha, over to you.
Hi, Meghla. Hi, everyone. Meghla, am I visible?
No, your video is not visible.
No.
Yes, it's visible now.
Am I visible and audible? I hope
Yes.
I'm visible and audible.
Yes.
Okay, good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you. And so, on a formal note, I would like to welcome everyone to this webinar today. GHRDC welcomes you to today's webinar titled The Future of Business Skills, Emerging Trends, Technologies, and Skills B School students of today need to know. Thank you, everyone, for taking out time and joining in with us today. We are very delighted to have with us experts from industry and academia for this discussion. On behalf of GHRDC team, I welcome our expert panel members. GHRDC, as many of you would be aware, is a 26 years old education research firm dedicatedly working in the education sector in the area of ranking, training, mentoring, and research with the sole aim of working on upgrading the quality of education in various sectors and benchmarking the best of the educational institutions in our country. The transition of students into management professionals is vital for driving progress, addressing societal industrial challenges, and improving the overall well being of societies and economies. The skills and expertise of management professionals contribute to industrial, technological, economic, and societal advancements on both local and global scales. Today's topic is about the significance of future of business skills, fast-paced emerging trends, technologies, and skills that B School students of today need to know and work on. And what does it take for them to reach the milestone of becoming dynamic, humane, and frontrunners of innovation? We will now be inviting our distinguished speakers to talk about this exciting topic. Also, I would request our wonderful attendees to type in your questions for our speakers in the chat box given along with the name of speaker it is addressed to. Now, I would request and invite our Deputy Director and Ranking Head, Ms. Aradhana Changakoti, to introduce our eminent speakers for today.
Good morning and welcome, everyone. I'll now introduce our esteemed speakers for today's webinar. Dr. Maitri is a distinguished academician, renowned teacher, researcher, and astute administrator and institution builder. An outstanding leader of management education, he has performed key leadership roles at many premier management institutes and corporate in his remarkable career. He is the current director of IIM Nagpur and former director of IIM Trichy. Under his dynamic leadership, both the IIMs have catapulted among the league of top business schools in India. He has also contributed immensely as Dean at L&T Institute of Project Management, Vadodara, IMI New Delhi, MDI Gurgaon, and led research programs at BITS Pilani. Dr. Maitri received his PhD from IIT Bombay. Currently, Dr. Maitri is a member of Indian National Commission of Corporation with UNESCO. He is also serving as chairman, All India Board of Management Studies, New Delhi, chairman WZDEB UGC, New Delhi, chairman Management and System Division Council, Bureau of Indian Standards, and IMA Board of Studies, New Delhi. Dr. Maitri has to his credit of being the visitor nominee of IIT Delhi, IIT Roorkee, and IIT Jodhpur. He is also nominee of MOE, Government of India. He is on the board of governors of NITI Mumbai and NIBM Pune, and Chancellor's nominee on Academic Council, Gondwana University. Dr. Maitri has trained more than 200 vice chancellors of central, state, and private universities in the country, as well as more than 1,000 directors, dean, principals, HODs of leading engineering institutes, including NIT, under World Bank Assistance Project, MHRD, TEQIP, to improve the quality of technical education in the country. For such illustrious contribution to the society, he has been bestowed with several prestigious awards and recognitions, and has been the only serving IIM director to receive the country's prestigious IMA Keval Nohria Award for Academic Leadership in Management Education. Sir, we welcome you to our webinar today. Mr. Piyush Bajpai is currently a global cross-functional leader managing data integration across consumer and marketing insight products at Nielsen IQ to help fulfill the organization's promise of the full view. In his 10 years at Nielsen IQ, he has led practice areas and product teams, helping clients improve their market performance. With over 20 years of expertise in analytics, data science, technology, and research, Mr. Bajpai is a seasoned product and technology leader with a proven track record of leadership and entrepreneurial experience. He has a wealth of experience in innovation, adaptation, and scaling solutions, demonstrated through his work at Nielsen IQ and his startup Indicus Analytics and Indicus Net Labs. He was the co-founder of Indicus Analytics, an economic research firm that was acquired by Nielsen IQ India in 2014. As a co-founder, he led its research operations and was instrumental in launching the consumer demography product line, including the first ever estimates of income distribution at a granular level. He is also the brains behind www.raftar.in, the first Hindi search engine for which he was recognized in the India's Fortune's 40 Under 40 list in 2014 and the Manthan Award. He brings a distinctive mix of experience across analytics, data science, technology, geospatial, natural language search, and research domains. He has patented solution, led multiple research studies, and has also co-authored several books and reports on the Indian economy. He was nominated as member of the Government of India's Committee on Consumer Expenditure Survey 2020 and is also invited as speakers and panelists on many industry forums. Mr. Piyush is a civil engineer from NIT Jamshedpur and holds a postgraduate degree in international business management from Lucknow University. We welcome you to our discussion today, Mr. Bajpai. So, and now we have Meghla Sinha, the Executive Director of GHRDC, who will be acting as the moderator for the discussion today. With this, I would request Meghla to now take over and initiate the panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aradhana. Once again, a very warm welcome to our distinguished speakers. Like I mentioned, we are extremely excited for their insights and guidance that they would be providing on this much needed topic, the need of the hour of all B School students today. In fact, I feel that this topic is not just relevant for B School students, but in general for any graduate student who is going through engineering education or law or anything else. In fact, a lot of our questions are relevant for the entire student community. Sir, Dr. Maitri, I'll start the first question with you. We all have been witnessing a very rapidly changing business environment landscape around us, both within India and outside India. One of the questions that we are very often asked by the student community, and it never goes out of fashion, is that what are the skill sets that you would recommend or you would advise to the students today who are specifically pursuing B School education?
Thank you very much, Meghla ji. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me for this very, very important, relevant topic of today's youths for all branches and particularly for management students. So I think today's skill requirement, first of all, let me, brief. A skill has a shelf life nowadays. So all the dominant area we talk about, whether it is a professional courses, marketing, finance, engineering, again, like Piyush, I am also civil engineer. So all engineering, the domain knowledge whatever it is there, and whatever the skill out of those professionals, they have a shelf life because of the disruption where Piyush is working, innovation, adaptation, and disruption. Because of that, automation is happening and all routine jobs are taken by the robots. So therefore, skills have a shelf life, even though if you say skills have a shelf life, but 21st century today or tomorrow we need certain skills, they are not going to be replaced by the robots, or they are not going to be replaced by any disruption. Such skills I would like to specify. There are, basically 4 C's. I would say they are relevant today and tomorrow and forever. Critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. These are the 4 C's. They are going to be there forever, irrespective of what disruption is going to take place. Then there are 3 L's. So one is that L stands for literacy. So we have to be literate in information literacy, media literacy, and technology literacy. These are the 3 L's. Everybody should know so that they will remain relevant to the present world, whereas present world is continuously changing. Apart from this 4C and 3L, today's generation, they should also be having a skill set of flexibility, leadership, and how to take initiative, or I must say, how to learn the new skills quicker than quick. So how quickly we can switch from present to the relevant skills. So that is the initiative I'm talking about. And also the most important one is the social skills. So these are the 11 skills all put together. I must say, everybody should know, and the most important out of that, the one is a leadership. Leadership skill, it is at every level leadership is required, a different kind of traits are required, a different level of leadership, and that is going to remain forever. No technology and disruption is going to replace the leadership. So these are the, in total, I must say, 11 skills that are relevant for today's generation and tomorrow generation.
Thank you so much, sir. Very beautifully summarized by you, and so relevant not just for the B school students, but I think this is a great takeaway for any student community, irrespective of what specialization sector they belong to. And I think all the academicians and stakeholders who have joined us today and are also watching a live telecast of this webinar would be, completely in agreement with you on these skills, because this is, as you said, will never go out of fashion, no matter what technological advancement we may make. Piyush, coming to you now, you have also a wealth of experience as an entrepreneur and both as a corporate leader. Now that you are at the helm of the industry and you're working with various youngsters and people who are now graduating from business schools, according to you, again I'm posing the same question to you. What skills do you think are something that B school students of today need to have?
Yeah, no, I think what Professor Maitri put in was very, very neatly. He's summed the list of skills that are really crucial, and all of us need to have that. When we look at skills, obviously there are hard skills, the learnings that you get. Then there are inherent skills. You're born with those abilities. You have grown up in an environment that brings those abilities. And there are skills that you add on to it, which are generally in the soft area, right? And these soft skills become very crucial as you move in through your career. So at a entry level, and just a couple of days back, I was in a webinar, and a very seasoned business leader put in very neatly that at the initial stage of my life, I wanted IQ. So it was all driven by IQ. As I moved up and became a people leader, it became EQ, right, which is emotional quotient. And as I move now to a even senior level position, it is AQ, which is adaptability quotient. And this is what Professor Maitri also meant, that whatever you do, flexibility is an aspect that you need to do. The skill sets will keep on evolving as we move through. But when we look at soft skills, these are choices that we make. And that's very important, right? What is this logic about skills and how it work in a professional environment? We need to understand. So we are making choices of how we want to put ourselves in a day-to-day activity that we are doing. So we make choices, and these soft skills define what choices we make, which are at times very different from your inherent ability. So your ability may be to be, really clever at certain things, but at a point you really need to give up and be kind, right? So kindness scores over cleverness, but that's a skill that you have to build, right? It is not inherent in you. That's the choice that you make. Why do you make those choices? Those choices help you build your character, and character is very, very essential in building your brand in a professional setting, right? So why skills matter? Skills matter because you build your character. That character helps you build your own brand. And when you have your own brand in a professional setting, the most important piece comes is how do you put your influence, right? And we talk about management. Management is the art of getting things done, but without a position behind it, it is about how you influence and get things done, right? So that's the logic of skills being developed, right? And when you look at in this sphere, then I would rate, the 5 skills that I think everyone needs to have. And at various stages in life, you'll use it very differently. But the first one is integrity. Whatever said and done, integrity is your crucial skill to have. You need to do what you say. So your say-do ratio decides that. It helps you build your trust. It helps you build your reputation, right? So integrity is the core skill that you need to keep on building. And it doesn't come easy, right? At integrity is many times making that choice between what inherently you want to do versus what you should ideally be doing, right? So those are things that should define. So integrity is definitely, I would rate as one of the top skills that you need to have. It helps you everywhere. The second, as Professor Maitre also highlighted, communication. In a professional setting, communication is one of the most crucial skills to have, and it evolves as you move forward, right? And it is very cultural context that needs to be kept in mind when you're communicating. So communication skills also evolve. At an entry level, you need to define how you document things, right? But many times, like in India, the cultural context happens that you really need to do a lot of informal communication. Things get done informally, but you need to record them and document, right? So those are so communication is very different at an early stage, and a communication becomes very different at a later stage in life, right? But it is a crucial skill that you should have. The third skill, I think, and which Professor Maitre also spoke about, leadership. Right? Leadership is a crucial thing at all stages, right? Your sphere of leadership may be small when you enter, but you need to take that. And in professional setting, nothing is rewarded as much as leadership, right? And leadership involves taking initiatives, involves creative thinking, involves a lot of skills that Professor Maitre spoke about. All of that keep into guiding you on how to be a leader on it. So leadership is definitely a skill that will remain even if we have automated supports and robots coming in. But leadership will be a crucial skill that differentiates you, and it gets rewarded very, very strongly in the corporate journey. Then a very interesting skill, which I think, which you realize very late in life, and you really repent a lot, is negotiation. How do you negotiate? And negotiation, again, has various nuances at various stages of your life, right? So early stage, you'd be negotiating at much smaller things, but at larger spaces, you really need to negotiate your way out. And negotiation is when you are opposing, you'll always have 2 different points of view. And how do you collectively move forward with those 2 points of views and those different point of view? That's a crucial part, right? And I would again refer to what Professor Maitre mentioned, collaboration. collaboration is an outcome of good negotiation, right? So, a lot of us in the professional world will, and you'd hear this a lot, that progression comes before perfection. And this progression comes from the art of negotiation, that how do you take different viewpoints and move forward, right? So I think that's the fourth skill I think is very important. And the fifth skill I have realized is also that's very crucial, is overcoming your bias. And that is one of the biggest struggle that you'll find in all your career path, right? At every stage when you're doing, every response that you're giving, you have to step back and think that, am I being driven by a biasness out here? And we can see that impact, right? The more how the world around us is evolving, it is giving us more opportunities to be being fair, right? Whether we are talking about climate, whether we are talking about generative AI, making it easier for people who don't know coding to start doing coding and think at coding. So technology, environment, the voice of people, the geopolitical scenario, all is moving towards making it more fairer for people who were deprived, right? And therefore, at times, what impacts that fairness is your own biasness, right? So I think these are the four skills which I think over my journey, I have realized that they are very, very crucial skills to have. They will always be there because the scenarios will keep on changing, the levels will keep on changing, the sphere of influence will keep up enhancing. But these are the crucial skills in my mind that you need to really work upon. And it's not something that, you can't learn these skills in one day. These are things that you have to do a habit. You have to make a habit of being more kind. You have to make it a habit of being more, having an empathy towards your teammates, towards your consumers and clients, right? So those are things that you will have to continuously do that, right? So these are the things that I think really make sense and will continue to be important skills.
Thank you. I think I'm absolutely amazed by the list of skills that both Piyush and Sir has mentioned. I think our student community has a lot to take in from today's list of skills, and for them to imbibe and for them to remember. And of course, the recording of this webinar is available to everyone even later. So I would really, really emphasize on this point that I think all the students here must and absolutely must listen to these skills, because some of these skills we've heard of, but a lot of these skills that both Piyush mentioned and Sir mentioned have come in absolutely as a new, list for us. So something that everyone needs to observe. Again, I would go back to Dr. Maitri for my second question. Sir, today, with these kind of rapid changes that is happening in the business education sector environment, specifically in India, how do you think the business education sector, in terms of what kind of skills or strategies should the B schools employ to deal with issues like sustainability, globalization, advancement in technology? How should B schools work towards some of these factors? Because these are things that we are now being faced with. And this is this is our current reality. So how do you think as a B school education community in India, we should now work towards it? And this answer is something which is very critical for our B school stakeholders who have joined us today. So your inputs would be very, very valid for us today.
Thank you, Meghlaji. I think again this question, very, very apt and advanced technology and sustainability from global perspective. These are the disruption is the way of life, and faster than fast disruptions are happening, and sustainability is going to be the one of the important center point for everybody's life and every sector. Because many generations are depend upon what we act today on sustainability perspective. So therefore, these 2 point of view, business school as a responsible business schools, I must say that they have to follow 3-4 important, because purpose of business school or any higher education institution is to serve the students for their own goals, help them to achieve their own goals in their respective field. So for that purpose, keeping the advanced technology and global sustainability in mind, business school should be performing so that students should get the larger benefit. And you all know that National Education Policy 2020 has come, 29th July, we are going to celebrate 4th year of completion of NEP 2020. And it is a gold standard, I must say. And these two questions answer is there in NEP 2020. Advancement in technology and global sustainability. SDGs are mentioned, global citizenship is mentioned, and technological disruption is mentioned. Learning to learn is mentioned in NEP. These are the key highlights, apart from multiple entry, exit, and all those things. So my a suggestion for keeping these two things in mind for business schools is number one, business schools or management education should focus on building a data-driven culture so that students can able to be a more agile in this agile environment or fluid world. So how to create a data-driven culture? The moment you get into a data-driven culture in the organization, in the business school, automatically the disruption is happening and new data is coming. And somebody has rightly said before 2002, from civilization to 2002, whatever the data generated, and after 2002, 2 days data is much bigger and much larger in all perspective than the data from civilization to 2002. This speaks about a big data and how to make use of data for building a data-driven culture for decision making for business schools also as well as students, and also build the agility in the organization. So that is number one. They should adopt the strategy of a data-driven culture. Number two, how to elevate the student talent means basically what I want to say is future ready students. How to elevate the talent through technological innovation and adaptation. I think which is a subject of PhD. So I want to say how to elevate the talent with the help of technology, innovation and adaptation. So you know that as in the previous question, I already told that skill as a self-life in any domain you take, automation is happening. But business school responsibility or any higher education institution responsibility, we have to prepare the change masters to lead the unknown roles in unborn companies. Because you don't know the moment they graduate after 2-year or 4-year engineering or 2-year management, everything would have been changed. 3D printer now, instead of manufacturing the car, you can print a car. Instead of 14,000 components to make a one car, passenger car, now 200 components are good enough to print a car. And instead of building a house in construction sector, now 2-bedroom kitchen can be printed in 8 hours. L&T already started. So now what will happen to the inventory, what we are teaching, inventory management and all those kind of things, what we are teaching, they are all going to be absolute. They are already absolute. So in this kind of environment, our job, our business school, our higher education institution prepare our students as change masters to lead the unknown roles. They don't know what role is going to come, because our time, aiming something we used to do. I want to be a civil engineering to join L&T, or mechanical to join Maruti, or electronics to join Bharat Electronics. Those days have already gone. So it is an uncertain world. From Mukka we have moved to Bani world. So in this kind of environment, to prepare students for that kind of environment, I think it is important how to make use of technology, innovation and adaptation in business school, so that we can make the students corporate ready, future ready the moment they graduate, and to take up the unknown roles and whatever the kind of companies. And the era of specialization has already gone. You know that today we are from industrial era, we have moved to intelligence era. Industrial era, everything was visible, tangible. How car is manufactured, it was visible. And in intelligence era, you know that the Singapore Bank, DBS Bank of Singapore, it is the best bank in the world, and nobody can Nobody knows where it is located, but everybody gets best of the best service. This is the kind of intelligence era we are in. So how to make our students relevant to the present world? They should be the first one to capture the technology, whether it is a 3D printing, cloud computing, IoT, and students, young students using IoT and AI, they can themselves transform as a IOA through IOB. So Internet of Things to Internet of Ability, because of using AI and IoT, they can change their ability, they can move to the next level to building their competence. And then the moment somebody accomplished and somebody is knowing more and more and added the skill, automatically their behavior will change. So therefore, IoT to IOA to IOB. So that is the kind of journey business school should be preparing a roadmap for MBA students or engineering students. So that is using the technology. Number 3, today, since skills have a shelf life, as I told, and competence alone, apart from knowledge, attitude, and competence alone is not good enough. Because our time we used to go to the college for the knowledge, and now generation going for the skill. Now future skill alone is not, our competence alone is not good enough. We have to build a capability in them. To build the capability, we have to take them to the experiential learning, phenomena-based learning. It is called as a PBL. How to put the students to the phenomena-based learning, put them into the uncertain environment, they come out with the solution. So project-based learning or experience-based learning, which is one of the important component NEP, that B schools or higher education institutions should be practicing, so that they can take up any kind of role, even though domain changes or new domain comes, but our students can, very systematically, and they can overcome all the unknown problems, and they can successfully stand in the crowd in the global market. Because countries on the lead, countries on the movement, and India is the first country to get into, because it is going to take a leadership from China. And also India is going to be 26, 27, IMF says 27, 28, India is going to be third biggest economy. But according to our own Indian prediction, it is going to beat IMF, and it has already 4.1 trillion we have reached February 2024. So reaching 5 trillion, beating Japan and Germany, India is going to be 26, 27, it is going to be a third biggest economy. So keeping that in mind, youth population, this capability building is extremely important. And already Government of India has initiated R&D more focus in education institution, that is the National Research Foundation. Anusandhan has already set up February 2024 meeting approved and given to DST. So our students are also getting more involved into research experience as well as a corporate experience. So experience learning is going to play an important role, and that higher education institution have to play. Then the fourth important component, what I would suggest for all the higher education institution, is how to prepare our students from traditional expertise to evolving expertise. So traditional expertise means somebody will say, I'm great in marketing, I'm great in finance, I'm great in civil engineering, mechanical engineering, or electronics. That is not good enough, because that engineering itself is changing faster than fast. Disruptions are happening. So along with the changing technology and disruption, we also develop our expertise as an evolving expertise than the traditional expertise in the given area. Because whatever the one area we expertise and automation comes, like EV vehicle, driverless cars, now driverless cars have come, what drivers will do? They have to learn a new skill. Again, something automation happens, they have to learn another new skill. So therefore, evolving expertise means you should be always ahead of the time, and you should be in the business of disrupting others instead of getting disrupting. And that is what evolving expertise business school should be preparing roadmap of students. So these four things, I think business school should prepare our students. And as far as India is concerned, a fifth component I will be adding all the higher education institutions, typically premier institution, most of the students are from urban centric. They know urban India, and they almost absolutely know few about rural India. Unless until they see other side of the coin, and one side is urban India, other side is a real India. I must say rural India, I don't say it is a real India lies in villages. And whatever the skill PhD talked about, whether integrity, cooperation, collaboration, it is ample quantity, freely available. Honesty, integrity, cooperation, all together can grow. I think that is available in Adivasi area and the smallest of the small village where British education has not reached. And therefore, our students, should be going to village and rural immersion program. We call in I am Nagpur, we have that program. We call it as a Bharat Darshan. Real India, they can go to, village, they can sit, and 2 days they actually go to the, field and farmers, how hot sun, 12, 30 or so, their kids and farmer working in the field with sweating and all, barefoot. And that situation, these people only maybe might have seen in picture, but really they can go and see. And in Indian Bharatiya Baitak, sitting condition, how to eat a food and how people live their life, all those things we showcase, and our students, we say that now you are the cream of the society, how to raise their income 5 times. You can give the solution to them. We put them a context, and now you have to give the solution. So that helps a business school students or higher education institution student how to be a good decision maker if you know the 360 degrees. These are the 5 things I suggest. Rural immersion, and in that it should also include our traditions, best traditions of India, because today in America, all the top 25 companies are headed by Indians because of Indian culture, Indian tradition they practiced, and even in America they are practicing. Second, all American university toppers are Indians. Silicon Valley, many startups are from Indians. So America, #1 Indians, and other countries and Americans, natives, they come at the 3rd position. So it is because of our tradition and culture, and that in NEP 2020, we call it as a IKS, Indian Knowledge System. I think that is a part of, Bharat Darshan or rural immersion. I think IKS, our tradition, basically connecting to the roots and learning from our roots. I think that should be that is the 5th element I talk about, real Bharat. Students can learn, and whether in India or going outside India, they always stand out in the crowd, and they will help to prepare the roadmap to build Vishwaguru. India is a Vishwaguru in higher education they can make. So these are the 5 things I felt.
Absolutely wonderful, sir. I mean, what you have now shared for our B School community is an amazing model that they can adopt, right from a data-driven culture to technology practices, but at the same time keeping the students very rooted in the ground reality, connecting them to the roots, understanding what are our traditional practices, and really helping them shape these students into very humane individuals. I think that's a point that came across very strongly from what you shared. And this is something which I think our B School community, which has joined us today for this webinar, would really, really appreciate. Thank you so much. This is a very beautiful list that you've shared. Sir talked about so many sectors that are now becoming obsolete, and they're not really very relevant from what we were doing, the specializations, the sectors that we were talking about. He mentioned like various streams of engineering and various specializations of business management are now not really so relevant anymore. Here again, I would ask a question to Mr. Bajpai. Now with this kind of a scenario happening where some of these specialization and sectors are now becoming obsolete, so what are the emerging career paths that are now coming forward specifically for B School students today? Because now the changes that are happening are so rapid and so at a wider level that this is something that students would definitely be looking forward to understand what are the kind of emerging career paths that are coming forward these days.
Yeah, no, I think what Sir mentioned was the context, and in that context, how education needs to evolve. And also that same context is also applying to the corporate setup, and both in India and outside as well. And it has had a lot of impact on how the career paths you're seeing within the organization and people moving through the ladder are facing today, right? And as Sir mentioned, the biggest one is disruption, right? Any space, any sector, any career, any level, everything is getting disrupted, right? And it's getting disrupted because people now have the ability to bring in those innovation at those stages, right? Which has also done a very, very strong, impact on the corporate setups. And a lot of glass ceilings are getting broken because of this. And when I say glass ceilings, obviously the gender ceiling has been broken, and Sir just mentioned the top, American CEOs are Indian, right? Which is a glass ceiling which got broken, and now it's like, you realize that it's really spreading out everywhere. You had the British Prime Minister being an Indian. So a lot of these glass ceilings are getting broken, not only on the gender and social norms that we had earlier, but also on a cross-functional norm. So you would now have a sales leader who may not have started with a sales career path, right? But may have come up from a product function or come up from a financial function, right? So you're seeing a lot of cross-functional movement within organizations, and organizations are really helping employees actually choose those, right? So, and that's because a lot of things have changed. They changed in 2002, as Sir was mentioning, the information age that started, but they moved tremendously fast once COVID was there, right? So COVID completely changed the way organizations think about employees and employees think about organizations, right? That's completely changed. And then now with Gen AI being launched, ChatGPT, that was a transformational piece for industry to realize. And therefore, the career trajectories have really changed. The career paths have changed, which also opens up a lot more opportunities for those who are willing to step back, right? So now the power on being able to define your career is much more strongly, right? So if you didn't start off with a civil engineering hard skill degree, but ended up, you wanted to go in a particular route, and to move out of it was really challenging earlier, right? Because the system wouldn't let you break that, right? Your CVs would not get selected for a data analytics job. I went through that initial route, right? With the civil engineering, getting selected into a TCS. The campus didn't happen for people from civil engineering in those days, right? They couldn't sit for TCS or Infosys. And I realized my strength was data. And so I thought, how do I break that glass ceiling? It was really difficult. And I said, okay, if it's not doing it, I will start on my own. Yeah. So, but now it's much more, has become much more easier because everyone is or rather the acceptance of people with different skills can perform and learn quickly because you have a lot of supporting tools now available, right? And this will keep on improving. And ChatGPT is just one of those starting points of the iceberg, which tells you, okay, you don't need hard skills now. I don't need to know programming anymore, right? I can still go into a programming job because I have a good support tool that helps me, right? So it's supplementing my skills, and I'm being able to go on top of it, right? So that is one part that we have to realize, which means that some of the skills that Sir mentioned, they become very important, right? So data-backed decision making is very, very crucial, and it is crucial in all career paths that you take. But it also, so if you're good with understanding data and how to define data to make those decisions, then you can today work in a financial setup. You can work in the research setup. You can work in the coding setup. You can do in the digital marketing space. So that opens up a lot of things, right? So the career paths have changed a lot of glass ceilings have broken. So you get those, opportunities across. So you shouldn't limit that, you start with the sales and you'll end up with the sales regional manager and the zonal manager. No, there are ways and paths that are opening up where you can add. And what Sir definitely mentioned, while it is true for B schools to impart, for every professional today, you need to keep on learning, unlearn, relearn. You have to do that. That process has to happen continuously. That agility needs to be there, right? Um, the other space where disruption and disruption has opened up, and which I think Sir really put it very well, which is unknown roads for unborn companies, right? That's a space even in standard functions, you're realizing that people can figure out unknown roads to unknown ways of doing things, which disrupt that function a lot, right? Whether it's finance, whether it's marketing, whether it's sales, even within those domains, you're finding that there are better ways of doing things. We have to leave some of those traditional ways of doing things, right? So while I understand when Sir mentions going back to the roots, but it is also leaving out some of the traditional pieces on functions that we have learned, like this is how sales has to happen, or this is how marketing has to happen. These are also being questioned, these are also being broken, and you are being able to move forward. Having said that, I think very crucial on any career path, wherever you are, you have to get to build and go back on the first principles, right? The basis of first principles still holds together, right? And your career path gets defined and how well and crucially you define those first principles in your job function, right? So that job function will then evolve, right? So the first principles do matter. You need to make new mental models for managing your job given all of these disruptions. But the career paths therefore open up with all of these interesting pieces. So you have data-based decision making as a very crucial arm in your career path. You have digital playing a very, very important role. So whether it is function in terms of marketing or communication, engaging with consumers or engaging with clients, delivering, facilitating, all of this is happening a lot through digital medium, and digital has become a very, very important part of your trajectory on your career path, right? The third, I think, the generative AI space, which has really opened up. But what it has also done is that it has killed the interface, right? So when you say Chat GPT, you have a chat box and it is doing all your work. You really don't need an app to click and do the things, right? So imagine you have a phone where you just speak up and it does all of the functions that you require, right? You want search, you speak it up, it'll do the search. You want to call someone, you can just do it by voice command, right? So the user interface is going to go away. And that's the big challenge for all professionals, because traditionally you've used a user interface to do all your interactions. Yeah, and that part is really going to go away, which means that people who didn't know, your initial skill was just how do you manage a interface, how do you manage a dashboard, or how do you write a particular report. These were standard things that people would, skills that people would have, and once you have those skills, you would get promoted or you would get rewarded because you had that basic skill of handling that interface, right? You may not have the knowledge or the wisdom to do it, but because you know that skill, you would still be in demand. But that's getting questioned a lot, right? So that user interface is breaking in every sphere, and that makes it very interesting because it makes up gives you opportunity to really expand your role anywhere, right? You are not in an end. You'll see a lot of jobs being advertised, whether you have a SAP skill, whether you have Oracle, whether you know this tool, whether you know that tool, whether any function. And it's always, right? In HR, you'll have whether you know the people tool, right? Or ERP. So all of these were things that were restricting people's movement. I think that's the big space which has now broken, and it will break much more drastically. In the next 3-4 years, you will really see a disruption in that space. As Sir mentions, this is going to get cleared. The user interface is going to go away. which means that you have an opportunity again to expand your horizon in different paths. So for me, I think that's how one should look at career path. You need to learn and learn new skills, learn new things that are evolving, how the environment is evolving. You'll have to keep on learning a lot, but also realize that it opens a lot more opportunity for you, and you may not be a traditionalist from that domain to actually enter into another domain. So I think that's the space, which is how it's evolving, and the career paths will see a lot more trajectory. Organizations are very open. Organizations are getting very open to seeing people work in various roles across domains, cross functioning, because they know that this is impacting, and people with good basic skills, right, with integrity, with first principle thinking, with creativity, they will always be in demand, and they can now function in domains which they didn't have hard skills for. Right? So that, I think, is the biggest space, which also means, and I would put this question to Sir on that. This is a domain which the management schools, right? So managers were traditionally did not need to have that hard skill, but still be able to lead teams and do, right? So managers were ones with those managerial skills to be able to even take hard skills people and guide them. Now, given that this space is getting, to me, that managerial space is now getting open even to non-managerial, because they can get that support from these tools. How do you think that challenge will be for for people who've not done a B school degree, but they're getting in that space, and therefore how does B schools really step in to elevate their skills, as you mentioned? So I think that's the crucial piece, which I think the difference between a technologies or an engineer versus a manager, which was very clear earlier, it's getting it'll get out, the lines will get blurred both ways.
I think this is a very interesting question and a very interesting context that Piyush has put in for all of us. So would you like to share any?
Yeah, definitely. I think, Piyush ji, I think you rightly pointed out. Today, earlier managers means, even when Ahmedabad started, I am Ahmedabad, Kolkata started, hardly you never used to find engineers joining to the management schools. Even when IIT started, best talent used to go to Delhi University, popular colleges than IITs. IIT Delhi when it started. So that was the era. But today, if you see the complete transformation as far as who are going to admit these premier institutions. Today, most of the IIMs, all the top business schools, apart from IIMs also, their majority of students, I must say more than 90% of the students, or even used to be 95, 98%, they are all engineer, tech background and joining management. So the basic qualification, technology and joining the management, that is what the trend. And last maybe a decade or so, business schools, to bring the diversity, how to restrict the entry of technology people, I think the admission criteria and all played with that to build the diversity. Even then, you always find, majority, I must say, 70 to 80% still engineers you find, they are part of it. And people from non-technology background also come, and they have been given a preference in some point of admission criteria and all. So that is what today happening. And as you rightly said earlier, it was a jamana of specialization. And today it is getting blurred. Today, even if you look at our National Education Policy 2020, we talk about multidisciplinary and holistic education. I think what you all said about it is pointing towards that. Multidisciplinary and holistic education means everybody coming out of the higher education institution, they should be all-rounder. All-rounder in the sense they should be knowing many things, even though they may be having one or two area of domain knowledge. Otherwise, too much specialization has created a global problem, sustainability issue. We talk about top 5 developed nations basically created 80% of the West to the world and brought the climate change. Climate change impact, it is because of those 5 developed nations, they created a lot of solid waste. So similarly, all the science and technology, without considering the sustainability and environment, we are created because of the specialization. A simple example I always, talk about, if any, teeth problem to anybody, they go to the dentist, and even though it is a good teeth, if it is a pain, they will take it out. And good teeth, if you take it out, it has its impact on eye. Your eyesight problem will come into picture. Then you go to the eye specialist, and that person, that specialist will do something. Then you may have ear and brain problem, because a specialist people have to see what is its impact on others. If I take it out, is it going to impact on? Is it going to affect on that? So that impact is not seen, and that is where, if you see in medical profession, side effects are much more complicated, serious than the original illness. That is because of the specialization. So therefore, specialization, that is where in national education policy we have made very clear that a mechanical engineering students can specialize into a second specialization into economics. A physics person can go into a second specialization into music. So anybody can get into any other specialization, and multidisciplinary approach, they should be all-rounder. Even while teaching a course, forget about the specialization 1, 2, 3. Or today, n number of specialization students can do. Major in mechanical, minor in ML, machine learning, and another minor in AI. They can do n number of minor specialization, one major. That is already permitted by the regulator, All India Council for Technical Education for engineering students. Apart from that, while teaching a course, for example, if I am a operations man or mechanical engineering faculty I am teaching, then if the topic is reduction of fuel cost, if that is the topic of if I am teaching, then I may teach as a mechanical engineer, or as an operations management professor, I may teach that this particular cost reduction in fuel can be done. Achieving fuel efficiency means how you drive the car, what speed in crowdy area in highway, what kind of maintenance you can do for the speed that will help the fuel efficiency. That is achieving fuel efficiency. If you follow, you may reduce the cost. That is one approach. Second approach, as a professor, I must be teaching that if you redesign the engine, then automatically tremendous reduction of the cost will come into it. How to bring the multiple perspective for the same subject. And that is the real multidisciplinary in pedagogy should come. Not only, multidisciplinary in pedagogy, and multidisciplinary means people from different perspective, giving the perspective for the students to make it as make a student as a holistic human being. And holistic human being is extremely important. In NEP, it is mentioned building a character and employability. And also it is indirectly mentioned building a holistic human being to take care of all living beings. And it takes care of sustainability. A holistic human being to take care of all living beings. And if you see in villages, if you go to any farmer's house in village, they prepare the food not only for the family members, prepare the food for cat, prepare the food for the dog, and they also put the water outside their hut or house, the water for the birds, and also throw the food grains to the birds, and you need the kind of gardening plantation. They love like a human being to their animals, plants, and all the peoples. So holistic human being, it is already there in DNA of Indians, those who live, those who never educated, we have to learn from them. So therefore, I think one of my NGO here in Nagpur, he has a scheme called Chalo Gaon Ki Taraf. So we can learn from them some of the things, that is what I said, tradition. And therefore, for the boundary of specialization now, there is no technology and management, techno managerial, people talk about, they started using. Earlier management was different, technology are different, and there is a crystal clear definition. Today it is difficult to separate both of them. So therefore today we talk about a holistic human being. Today we talk about all-rounder. Today we talk about generalistic is more preferred over the specialization. So this is the kind of world we are in, and we have to prepare the students for that. I think, Piyush ji, you are a civil engineer, but you are not doing any job of civil engineering. I am a civil engineering, my all qualification civil engineering. I never done any MBA, but I left, IIT Kharagpur, sorry, Guwahati. I was getting opportunity, but I joined BITS Pilani. Even BITS is known for engineering, but preferred to join after my PhD to management. And then I moved on this particular profession. It is by practice, not by education. So therefore, today time has come. The passionate people, where their passion is there, what are their goals, to achieve their goals, they can do some education, but no education will go west. Even though I am a civil engineer, but I am not doing anything civil engineering, it is wrong, because wherever I have gone after my IIT Bombay PhD, everywhere I built the infrastructure, whether it is MDI, 3 programs, when I left 9 programs, 6 building and 6 new programs. I went to Strathclyde University, Glasgow. I built a building before starting program. IMI New Delhi, I built 2 buildings and started 2 new programs. L&T Institute of Project Management, I was there. And I am Tiruchirappalli, Trichy was my first startup. I am Nagpur's second startup. I am in both the places. Entire infrastructure built by me. Of course, Nagpur is the best infrastructure out of all IIMs, and many IIMs and people. It has become a place for visitors. Anybody coming to Nagpur, or even some people, I am Lucknow visited, and I am Sambalpur, Ranchi. Many people come and visit to see the infrastructure. Many government offices they visit. So of course, my profession is utilized along with that. And I am the first civil engineer to be. I am director. And these 2 places, we were faster than fast, and we built. I set a benchmark. Trichy was first out of 7 IIMs to move to the NIT, to the new campus. And Nagpur is the first out of these 6 IIM. We have moved, 20 November 21st during COVID started, completed in COVID, and we moved to the, inaugurated by President of India 8 May 2022. And all others, those who started us, they inaugurated beginning of this year. So I think every profession, irrespective of what background we are, that directly, indirectly, that experience will help us. And therefore, a generalistic approach is going to play important role. It is basically, we call it as a T-learning. You should know many things, even though you have to have 1 or 2 specializations. And that is what our NEP suggests, multidisciplinary and holistic education. And that is the heart of NEP 2020.
I think in today's responses, both by Sir and Piyush, I think 3 things for me that have come out very clearly and very boldly is, one is that learn, unlearn, relearn. I think that is a very big takeaway for students. And thank you, Piyush, for sharing that, because we get stuck in our own mindset, right? We feel we've done this, we've done that, and we're done here. So I think this is a very, very strong messaging that you've given out to students today. Both Sir and Piyush have given out this common message that sky is the limit in today's world. There is no boundary that really exists. So students can really utilize this opportunity, this openness that industry also has, education sector also has, and really utilize it to the best of their opportunity. And of course, I think one thing that came out very strongly was to remain connected to your roots, remain connected to the traditional aspect of our society, while also engaging and learning some of the advanced technologies that we are all learning and creating and working with in today's time. There are some attendees who had written some questions to us for both our speakers today. Neha, I would request you to pose those questions to both the speakers.
Yeah, so we do have some questions, and my first question would be for Mr. Bajpai. So you very beautifully spoke about artificial intelligence. So we have a question from one of the attendees around the same concept. So how can students basically prepare themselves to leverage these kind of technologies, specifically when we talk about AI in business environments, and what should be the ethical considerations they must be aware of while using these kind of technologies?
Right, very important and pertinent question in today's scenario. The first thing is that AI is being used by almost all functions, right? So almost all functions across business today are seeking to utilize AI in some way or the other, right? So there's that hype definitely. From 2023, when ChatGPT was launched versus today, people have also realized that the outputs aren't really that great. Okay, so while it is there are certain challenges still out there, and so it's not, a magic wand and you'll ask it and it'll do it, right? So there are ways to utilize it, and that is very crucial to understand, right? So there are a lot of courses around AI, but you have to understand the fundamentals of what the current AI is all about, because then it will give you a sense of how you can utilize it better. We all know it hallucinates, right? Hallucination is a challenge where it, gives off unverified facts, right? It will give it out. You have to verify that. You need to know what is the purpose that you can use it for, right? So that's very crucial to define that. But it also means that, you pick up a problem, you'll be able to find out how you can utilize it, and it will take a couple of iterations to figure that out, and you can take in bits and pieces, right? So it's not something that you will give it and it will give you an output and you can usually use that output. If it were that smooth, then you would have seen far more jobs moving out, but it is still impacting. So there are things that you can continuously use. You'll have to think slightly out of the box. For instance, right, if I am looking at doing interpreting a data, right? It's a standard piece. You'll be given a sales data, or you go in any function, you'll have some data and you want to analyze it. Now, what can the AI do? If you give the data to it, will it analyze? It may not be currently in that stage to do it, and also you wouldn't want to, because there are better tools that help you analyze it faster, right? There are software codes that can do, but what you can ask it is to help you write that software code, which you earlier couldn't. So if you don't know Python, it doesn't mean that you can't do data analysis. AI can write that Python code for you and you do it. And these are ways you have to adapt. So AI is there in almost all functions. You will have to use it and you'll have to think how to use it in those functions to help you increase your productivity. There's a recent study on the applicability of AI, and while they've seen a decline in the use of AI, or let's say the managers preferring to use AI, there's been a slight decline because of the outputs that it's showing. But almost all those who are using AI today say that they have improved their productivity. And productivity means small steps that you can save time on, right? So I think that's where AI currently is, the current state, right? As it evolves, we will need to continuously evolve ourselves on how we want to use it. Yeah. So we do keep in mind these aspects when we do it. You need to get to know some of the fundamentals of current AI space, right? It's a language model. How does the language model work? It's a probabilistic model. It will not have data accuracy. So those are things that you'll have to work. On the second part of the question about the ethical part of it, for almost all organizations, yeah, this is a big challenge, right? And so we are seeing a lot of walled garden approach, right? Where you have a data AI and a retrieving engine that is limited to the data of the organization, and it is not available outside. So a lot of organizations which started with using ChatGPT, and now they have pulled back, and a lot of people are actually doing it through walled gardens. That's because data can't leave. Now, so for most corporates, they have to be very careful of what their data is going in, because once it's in a digital space, we know it will get leaked out, right? There's no way stopping it. It's very difficult. You have to build those guardrails before, right? And those guardrails are very, very important from a corporate perspective. That is the arbitrage that any company in any function, for a company, it's the arbitrage. That's the difference between you and your competitor. And that is today being defined by the data that you have, right? So the companies are very, very careful about it. On the other question on generally JI being very ethical and being using the data that they've trained on, it's a gray area. It's helping you do a lot more functions, but it is riding on someone else's work, right? We have to realize that, right? So yes, it's helping in certain places, but it also you have to recognize that it's riding on a lot of other work that is there. But can we keep that, right? Can we just keep that work and not give it? I think that is, and that is why open source is thriving much more than the closed source, is because you realize that when it's on open source, it benefits much larger pool of people, right? And this is where our benefits would come. So while it is a concern that you're riding on someone's work, but that open source that's why evolving. So you need to also share what you work, right? So that's a give and take that has to happen in this space, definitely. And that's why I think open source is the way to go on this.
Thank you so much. I think that was a very beautiful insight of giving and taking to the world. So thank you so much, Mr. Bajpai. We do have a question for Dr. Maitri. In today's world where everything is getting obsolete at a very fast pace, what role does innovation play in the curriculum at B schools?
Yeah, I think innovation plays a very, very significant role in developing curriculum. So one is, you see, for example, some of the schools, if you take about what in IIM Nagpur we do, we have revised the curriculum. Very often we are revising the curriculum. Fundamentals will not change, as I rightly told in the beginning. Fundamental principles will not change. The core courses, they will remain. But some of the elective courses and whatever the technology impact on core courses, those changes we modify, remain relevant to the present world. That is one part. But some courses, as a part of national education policy and as a part of this disruption or innovation, we introduce course called Indian Ethos. Man-made lesson from Change Masters of India. Man-made lessons from scriptures. Science of happiness, today's world, that is extremely important. And we also introduce a course called Corporate Governance, CSR, and System. These are the courses irrespective of any disruption, innovation. These are the fundamental courses as a part of IKS we introduced. Then as a part of innovation, how to make our students to understand the trend. Basically, 3 years down the line, what changes are going to happen. What old things are, what existing things are going to disappear, what new things are going to come. That is extremely important. And that is where, we started at Nagpur a human library. A accomplished person in the corporate world, they will come to IIM Nagpur. And those who have written a book, normally we prefer to call here. And they address based on the book about 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and student will read the book and they will ask a number of questions. For example, Harsh Mariwala, he came and he visited, our students, he addressed and our students asked the questions. So how he started his journey from, the product, what we call coconut oil. Earlier it used to go in trucks, and now it is in packed and small packets and all. How he's transformed his journey, family business. Like that, people, Unicorn, Agarwal came and such some people coming and telling it. This we call it as a living libraries. So reading habits have gone down, but in such personalities come Piyush Pandey, brand guru. He visited us and his book, discussion with the students. So these are all basically, they not only they understand the trend, they listen to them. It builds the courage and confidence for students interacting with such personalities. And also because of such personalities visiting, and they definitely read the book. This is one initiative. we have done to understand the recent trends, and also listening such people, how they evolve, transform, starting from their journey of corporate to current position, how they moved, and that entire life story, because everybody has their own story, for the present position, that basically students enjoy, and that help them how to change themselves, how to update themselves in this changing world. So this is how the innovation parameter come into picture. That is one aspect. Apart from that, we also introduced, professor of practice, a corporate professionally qualified people from corporate coming and teaching, and some of the courses like sales and distribution, courses like banking management, courses like advertisement management, some of the very creative kind of courses, industry people coming and teaching. That is another aspect, how to expose them to the larger area of the corporate world, open the window for deeper depth. Then the third initiative, we call it as a international week. Normally in December, all Indians, those who are working abroad, they come to India before Christmas, and they January 6th to 10 onwards, they start going back. So that is the window we start International Week. When they are in India, we take their full advantage, invite our institutions, and they teach a 10-hour one credit course. And they will share their global exposure. Even though the students in India, in our own institution, they get a cross-cultural understanding and global exposure from such experts. So that is another way of exposing them to the recent trends and happening in their respective area. Similarly, we also take them to global immersion. Students do the project. They will take, for example, Singapore and Dubai. They 2 weeks they work on the project, get the data, work on the project at our campus, and 1 week they go and visit those companies, they interact with them, and again they come back 2 weeks, they work on that project. This is a project-based global immersion program. So these are all the ways we can fill with full of innovation, adaptation, and they understand, even though while working while studying in the campus, they understand from harshest mouth what is happening in the corporate world. Another interesting program, as I told you, Bharat Darshan program we do. So there we have 63 corporate mentors. Those who are very senior positions, L&T, Tata, all the big notch companies, very senior people, GM and above, nobody less than that. They will mentor 3 to 4 students. We call it as a e-mentoring. They will do what are the qualities of good managers. So they work on that entire 1 year, and e-mentoring happens. Those who are coming from rural background, they may not be that good in communication. They improve that. Those who are not having a interpersonal relationship good, so such people can learn that. And those who are weak in critical thinking or communication, all those areas, mentors will mentor, and they will have to present every term 2 times and 3 terms in 1 year they do. And physically they fly to IIM Nagpur and spend 2 quality days with our students, mentor-mentee meet we do. This is how, even though during 2 years at our campus, 2 academic years, they will be knowing a lot about the corporate world trends and what are the new things happening in the world. And apart from that, this year we are starting another initiative. We are going to have setting up a center of excellence, and we are taking up MSME problems, because MSME, they can't go to McKinsey, PwC, all such firms. They can't afford to pay, and we have 65 million MNCs, 6.5 crores to solve their problem, right from business, international trade, operational, strategic, culture or information system, all those problems. They will give the problem, they will become part of our member, give the problem. Our students in consultation in the industry, mentor, and our faculty, they provide the solution. It is going to be a part of credit course as an experiential learning. And so they understand the trend, and it is win-win for the MSME and win-win for the IIM Nagpur. So these are some initiatives we have introduced as a part of, to remain relevant to the present world as a part of curriculum.
I think today's discussion and the kind of insights both of you have given are absolutely invaluable. And I would say that although this was a webinar which was targeted towards B-School student community and B-School education sector community, but it absolutely is something which is valuable and relevant for any sector, any set of students, faculties, in India, as far as the kind of inputs both of you have shared. So it has been a very, very rich, extremely meaningful session. And I think the kind of insight, the guidance both of you have shared will go a long way in fostering, of course, business management education, but education sector and industry as a whole in fostering brilliance and innovation. Thank you so much to both of you. I wish we could go on further for another half an hour and on and on and on, because the kind of insights both of you are sharing through your own experiences, your own journeys, has been so insightful and so interesting. Thank you so much. Really, I mean, it has been an honor to have both of you today for the webinar. So on that note, I'd request Neha to close the webinar with a closing note.
Thank you, Meghla. Thank you, everyone. And this was a very fruitful and enriching discussion. On behalf of the whole GHRDC team, I would like to express my appreciation and gratitude to all the participants for taking out time to attend the webinar. And very, very sincere thanks to our panel of experts. Your presence has been invaluable and has undoubtedly made this webinar a great success. Thank you so much once again. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Piyush. Thank you,
Namaskar.
everyone, all the attendees. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Wishing you a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.